Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 26, 2022 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. This is a hybrid meeting, so we have some commissioners participating remotely through the WebEx video. And so that means when we call on roll calls, we'll have to call each name individually because of that situation. We also may have people who are participating remotely, and in which case we will call on them as well. The first item on the agenda, or it's the second item after calling the meeting to order, but before we do that, let me go through the agenda. We have, if anybody is looking for item 4B, which is 98 to 108 Middlesex Turnpike, it's a request for a certificate of compliance for the yard house on Middlesex Turnpike. And that was asked to be continued, and will be continued until the next meeting of June 9th. Also, item number 11, which is a continued public hearing. It was a notice of intent for 102R Wind Street, and it was to replace a culvert and restore a wetlands and stream bank. Could I have a motion to continue the 102R Wind Street hearing until June 9th?
Second.
Mr. Chairman, you didn't even call roll call.
Okay. Why don't I call roll call? Thank you, Mr. Deb. All right, before we vote on that, then let's call roll call. Thank you. All right.
Jennifer's just getting
Commissioner Indra Deb.
Jennifer's just getting on, she said.
All right. Commissioner Ed Laturco.
Present.
Commissioner Kent Moffett.
Present.
Bill Boyven is known to be absent, the record should show. Commissioner Don Bernstein is known to be absent. And who else we have?
Jennifer says she's logging on, so she'll be any minute.
Okay, Jennifer O'Riordan is not on now, but we will note it for the record when she does appear. How's that?
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor, and the motion is to continue 102R Wind Street until June 9th. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 4-0-0. 102R Wind Street hearing is continued to June 9th. Okay, next is citizens' time. Is there anyone online or in the audience here that wants to talk about something not on the agenda or any subject at all? All right, the record should show that no one volunteered for citizens' time. Mr. Rasky, do you want to say anything?
Brought up at a later time?
Or Mildred?
No, this is the proposed bylaw to change basement slab or crawl space and groundwater drop from last.
This is,
the next town meeting. Want me to do that now since I'm doing it now?
it's not on the agenda, so that seems to qualify. Why don't you come up and introduce yourself?
It's not our bylaw. It's not our.
But he won't talk about anything he wants.
Should be on the next warrant, so.
All right. Okay, this is the bylaw that's essentially, I think what Mr. Rasky's going to talk about, that was on for town meeting, but it was pulled, it was never voted on, and it may go before the September town meeting, and it's that all homes must be at least 2 feet above the seasonally high groundwater unless they get a variance. Please introduce yourself.
Dan Rasky, 3 Mildred Road, town meeting member, 25 years. It was quite kind of, I don't want to say upset, but didn't understand why this particular article was pulled in response to all the large homes being built in this town and the water problems to be created by those homes next to people like me have been here 50 years in a small house and are being surrounded by big houses. So that's not going to help me at this time, but it should be known to people around town that there's an effort by conservation, am I correct?
Actually, no. I do know the reason it was pulled. However, John, do you want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
Sure, I can take it. So we did work, it was staff, planning staff, conservation staff, several other departments got together and proposed this bylaw, and then the board, the planning board was actually the ones who put it forward. The reason we pulled it is just because we need to work on the appeal process of it. So if somebody can't meet the 2 feet separation, there has to be an appeal process, and we felt like we needed to define that more so that the Board of Appeals had more direction, specifically a requirement that they be presented with an engineering plan, so that they could make a decision based on good engineering and not just no information, really.
So going back to the history of my neighborhood in the early 60s, every house on Mildred Road had water in the basement. Stony Brook had water in the basement. So over the years, I don't know if our water table's kind of receded, but we see these big homes coming, and it's like, so when they finally got to Barber Circle, guess what they did? They built the houses on top of the ground, not in the ground. So I don't know if that's a solution to water table problems or flooding issues, but that's what had been done at that time, so.
Yeah, the way that bylaw was presented, the problem it had is the appeals board would have had to rely on just whatever the applicant said. And they wouldn't have any information that the infiltration would work. If they're going to submerge it into the water, we want to know that they have a system somewhere on their property that is going to be engineered and working. So without that information, essentially, the applicant could do any hand waving or say anything they wanted, but they'd have nothing further to rely on. So that was the reason.
Okay, so it's being better thought out then for another town meeting, is that, can I say that?
September town meeting, I understand, it's not a bylaw that conservation is proposing. It's really
Planning board.
a product of the staff that's going through planning, I believe.
Because it's a zoning bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments. Okay, now I've messed up on the roll call. I neglected to say that our conservation administrator clearly is present, John Keeley, and our assistant administrator, Eileen Coleman, is present as well. And Jennifer, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
I knew you were here because I could see you, but I was just making it official. Thank you. So Jennifer O'Riordan's here as well. Okay. All right, so next on the agenda is 4A, 18 Lisa Street, Mr. Roger Bell. I don't think...
Minutes?
Approval of minutes?
What?
Do you want to do the minutes?
Oh, okay. April, I don't know where I am tonight. April 28th, we have the minutes of meeting. Is there anyone who has further comments on the minutes of meeting for April 28th? All right.
So Larry just had a few minor edits to
Yeah, I had
the
some edits.
description of, to the narrative of how he presented the stormwater management bylaw discussion.
Right.
But they were pretty minor, so I don't
Right.
think we need to read them out.
Nope, nope. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 28th, 2022?
I abstain, I wasn't here.
A motion to approve the minutes, April 28th. Anyone?
So moved.
Second? I think I can get someone to second. Can someone second it?
Second?
Thank you. All right. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes,
Ed? Kent?
Abstain?
Jennifer?
Abstain?
And the chair votes yes, 4-0-1, the minutes of April. Was it two abstentions?
Abstentions, right.
Two abstentions, was it? 3-0-2, the minutes for April 28th are approved. Okay, now we can move to request for certificate of compliance. We have a request by Mr. Roger Bell for a very old project at 18 Lisa Street, DEP file number 122-154. The commission and staff went out and took a look at this site. John or Eileen, any comments for us?
No, so this was an order of conditions from 1990, so it's 32 years ago, and it was for an addition. The site looked fine. It doesn't seem like there's any intrusion on the wetlands on the site, so I'd recommend that you issue a certificate of compliance.
All right, could I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for the project at 8 Lisa Street?
Make a motion to,
18 Lisa Street, yes.
make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 18 Lisa Street.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second.
All right. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Check.
Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 500. The certificate of compliance for 18 Lisa Street is approved. Is there a bond on that?
There was a bond of $250.
All right, and it needs to be returned?
Correct.
$250,
Yes.
Plus 30 years of interest.
30 years.
Doubt it.
You're not serious, are you?
About the interest or the
Yes.
amount?
It's the interest.
I don't think so. Doubt it.
I've never heard you suggest we pay back interest. Okay,
I've
So-
never heard of an order of conditions 32 years old either, so.
all right. Could I have a motion to release the full amount of the bond of $250 for 18 Lisa Street? Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Jennifer.
All right. Indra, how do you vote on releasing the bond?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The bond of $250 for 18 Lisa Street is approved. Okay.
Did you make a motion to continue 4B?
You don't have to do it for that.
Oh, so, okay.
It's
All right.
it's not a hearing.
All right.
Okay. All right. All right, we're on item 5A. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting during which time we'll act upon a request for determination of applicability filed by Michael and Emily Saka. The commission will take all information related, okay, to the proposed installation of an above-ground pool within locally regulated riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 21 Geddick Road, and the commission will issue a determination. The application is being heard under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the State Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And a copy of the application is available by writing to conservation@burlington.org. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so the way this works is you simply introduce yourself, state for the record where you live, and then you say as little or as much as you would like about what you're doing.
Mike Saka, 21 Geddick Road, Burlington.
Emily Saka.
My wife, Emily.
Hi.
Just looking to put an above-ground pool in the backyard.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Eileen, you have some comments on this for us?
I do, I'll just share some photographs and just, yeah. So the reason this is in front of the commission tonight is because this is the property down here on the sort of bottom right. There is a regulatory stream that runs right along the back edge, just the end of their property. They've marked out, kindly marked out where they're putting the pool. It goes approximately where the shed is right now, or it's approximately in line with the shed, and that puts it about, I think we measured 74 feet from the stream. It's an above-ground pool, so I don't have any issue with that at the moment. This looks like it's all wetland, but it looks like it's been filled in maybe decades ago.
Okay. All right, do you have any issues with the above-ground pool going in relative to the wetlands?
I don't.
All right, let's go around and see if anybody has any questions. Okay, Indra, any questions on this one?
No.
Ed?
No.
Jennifer?
No, but thank you to Eileen for providing the photos from the site visits. It's much appreciated.
Right, and Kent?
Nope.
And I don't have any questions either. So, is there anyone in the audience? This is a proposed pool project located at 21 Geddick Road. Anybody have any issues at all? Or comments? Okay, yes,
Very much in favor of it.
Oh, thank you.
and who are you?
I'm Peter from Gibraltar Pools.
Oh,
Are you the one putting up the pool?
No, I just have a comment, I'm in favor of it. I'm pro above ground pool.
Thank you, that's very meaningful.
thanks for showing up.
Apparently you have a fan club. Okay, then we have what is called a negative conditional determination. and it says if you adhere to a few very simple routine conditions, we don't expect any issue relative to the stream and the wetlands and all that stuff. So we'll review it and then vote, and we'll get you on your way.
Thank you very much.
We sent them a copy of this earlier, so they've kind of have an idea of it. Their project is described as a 15 by 30-foot pool, an above-ground pool on existing lawn behind the house and patio. It will be within the 200-foot riverfront to a locally regulated stream. The work was located within the 100-foot buffer wetland that appears to have been filled in the past. The proposed work was approximately 74 feet from the stream, so this determination is only allowing the work as described in here and nothing else. And prior to beginning the work, you'll install some erosion control, probably in the form of wattles, silk fence, across the lot at the limit of work to prevent anything from going into the stream. All demolition materials and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soil within 50 feet of wetlands or the stream. No tracking sediment onto roadways, and if that happens, you should sweep it. No filling or significant grading of the property under this decision. No chlorinated pool water shall be discharged to impervious surfaces that drain to the street, nor anywhere near the stream. Don't dump lawn clippings or debris into the stream or the wetlands, and don't use pesticides, herbicides, fungicides on your property. However, fertilizer, if it's phosphorus-free, may be allowed. And then this also just says that we have the authority to go on just to check that you're complying with the conditions.
Okay, so I think you've seen this. Do you have any questions at all?
No questions.
No, it's, like I said, it's kind of pretty simple
Yeah.
for this project. Okay, anybody from the commission have a question? Hearing none, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the pool project at 21 Geddick Road? Second?
Second, Indra.
All right, we'll start with Indra. How do you vote?
Yes.
Ed? Jennifer?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0, unanimous. You're all set. Good luck with your
Thank you
pool
very much for
project.
your time.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good to see you, folks.
Take care.
Okay, now we're on item 5B. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Lawrence Chiotti. The commission will take all information related to the proposed construction of a detached garage within a locally regulated riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone to stream bank and bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 5 Susan Ave. The commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application's being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And as before, if you want a copy of the application, you can write to conservation@burlington.org. Good evening.
Good evening.
So just introduce the same procedure as the last one. Introduce yourself and
Sure.
who you're affiliated with or where you live, if it's the project site. And then you talk, and then we go from there.
Okay. I'm Lawrence Chiotti. I'm the owner of 15 Susan Ave, and looking to build a detached garage in kind of behind my house, 2-car garage, and that's pretty much it. Detached garage, as you mentioned.
All right, that was perfect. Okay. All right, Eileen or John, any comments on this one?
So this one is also in front of you because there is a stream running behind his house. It's actually part of Sawmill Brook, I believe. I don't particularly have any issues with it, but I do have a question for Mr. Chiotti, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
there is, you do have an existing driveway there that you're going to kind of curve around. Are
Yes.
you going to have to widen the driveway as well?
I won't widen the driveway until it's within about 10 feet of the garage. So the driveway right now is 10 feet wide by 40 feet long. So it's going to remain a single-lane driveway until such time as I have to widen it, so because it's going to be a side entrance garage.
Right?
So it's just going to be widened a bit so that I can make the
It's
turn.
going to curve out a little bit?
Yep, exactly. It's going to curve out a little bit so I can come in. It is not going to extend anywhere beyond the garage itself. So it's going to just stop at that point.
Right, I have, on the screen, we're showing where the existing driveway is, so the garage will be just sort of this side of that. I don't have an issue with it, it's a relatively small feature, so I'm assuming stormwater will just go to the grass. He had a pretty grassy area. In fact, he has a pool between the garage and the stream, so it's already kind of a sort of impacted sort of lot.
Okay, let's go around, see if anybody has a comment or a question. Indra, any questions?
No.
Ed?
No, no concern.
Jennifer?
There are no questions from the tenant.
And we'll go to Kent.
Eileen asked the question I had.
I don't have any questions on what you're proposing. The only question I actually did have, I was wondering, what kind of a car is under that tarp?
Under that particular top is a BMW Z3. That's a car I got from my girlfriend that she drives occasionally.
Very nice, okay.
Thank you. That's one that will go into that garage instead of sitting in the driveway.
Okay, I was just curious when something was covered up. Okay, is there anyone in the audience for 15 Susan Ave? It's the addition of a garage to the property. No. Okay, so we'll do the same thing as before. We'll review the decision, and then we'll vote on it and have you on your way as well.
So in this case, I sent the draft out to Mr. Chiodi, and he pointed out a mistake that I had made in the dimensions of the garage. So I have fixed that. The applicant proposes to construct a 23 by 34, so about 780 square feet, detached garage on existing lawn behind the house and in front of the pool. The work would be within the in riparian of a 200-foot riverfront area to Sawmill Brook and the 100-foot buffer zone to Bank. Sawmill Brook is regulated under the Burlington Bylaw, and its perennial status under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act is undetermined. The work is about 25 feet from the bank. And as with the last group, this decision is only for just the garage work and the driveway work and nothing else. Prior to beginning any construction on site, sediment barriers shall be installed at the limit of work. All construction, demolition materials and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soils or other materials within 50 feet of the stream or the wetland. No tracking of sediments onto the roadways, and if that happens, please sweep it. No filling or significant grading of the property under this decision, and all existing drainage patterns shall be maintained as they are now. Don't dump debris or lawn clippings or landscape materials into the vegetated wetlands. Oh, we forgot to mention this. When we were there, we saw some asphalt and other material dumped. It's kind of between 15 and 17. I'm not really sure which it was, but given this is a riverfront area, we thought if he just cleared that up, that would be partial mitigation for work in the riverfront. And don't dump in near the.
That isn't my property that you saw that on. It was my neighbor's, and I actually went over and spoke with him about it, and he said, "Don't worry, Larry, we'll take care of it." So it'll be taken care of.
Oh, that's a good neighbor.
Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of the stream or wetlands, and this also says that we can just go and check on the property just to make sure it's going as you're doing the things that you said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you, sir, have any questions on these few conditions at all?
Nope.
Okay. Any on the commission have any questions or comments on the conditions put upon this project? Nope. Could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project at 15 Susan Ave?
So moved.
Second? Okay, was that? Okay, I assume that was a second. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed? Yes. Kent?
Yes.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0-0, the addition of that garage to 15 Susan Ave is approved.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, good to see you.
Same here.
Okay. All right. We're on item 5C. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Erica Diamond. The commission will take all information related to the proposed installation of an in-ground pool within the locally regulated riverfront area in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 8 Paula Street in Burlington, and the commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application's being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And a copy of the application's available by emailing conservation@burlington.org. Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you tonight? Like we did with the other folks, you get to talk first because you're our guest. So, but you should introduce yourself, state your address for the record so they have it when they transcribe it,
Okay,
and then you can just say whatever you would like.
okay.
Okay.
My name is Erica Diamond, 8 Paula Street, and we are proposing to put in a fiberglass in-ground pool. It's approximately, I think, 14 by 30.
All right. Okay, let's hear from staff and see what they're saying about it. John or anything?
Sure, I'll take this one. So the commission did a site walk yesterday, and when we did the site walk, the pool location was not necessarily problematic, but the commission discovered the recent installation of the sport court, which is problematic. Somebody needs to mute. So there's wetlands just beyond the rock wall at the rear of the property, which is just beyond the sport court. And then there's also a stream, probably a little over 100 feet away from the corner of the lot. Can you mute? Are you able to mute people?
I'm not sure. I can.
Do we, okay, keep going.
So, I mean, obviously, the applicant wasn't aware either of the wetlands or the necessity to file, but, so we looked at aerials, and that area was fairly heavily wooded, so there were trees cut in the locally regulated riverfront area in the buffer zone to wetlands to create that sport court. So, as you can see, the ground is really bare around it. At this point, I would recommend the commission require some sort of replantings between the sport court and the stone wall and in that area.
Okay. All right, how many feet is there between the sport court, the edge of the sport court, and
And the pool? No.
and the river, no, and the.
Oh, the riverfront, oh.
And the stream?
Oh, and the stream? The sport court? Well, it's probably
This is
something
the draft
similar.
decision.
No, the sport court, he said.
Oh,
It's about maybe 120 or 140 feet, something like that.
From the edge of the sport court to the stream?
Yes.
yeah, but from the edge of the sport court to the wetlands is probably, so it's probably 20 to 25 feet beyond the stone wall of the wetlands. So it's between, I would say 30 to 40 feet from the sport court to the wetlands. So it would be within the no-build setback, the 40-foot no-build.
All right. So your recommend.
Which, to be fair, the way you define the no-build is something that requires a building permit. A sport court does not require a building permit. So had this required a building permit, we would have caught it, and we
Right.
would,
That's
it
why,
wouldn't have
that's why it
happened,
didn't get caught, because
Right.
it wasn't,
Right.
it
Yeah.
wasn't in the permit system, which is
Right.
electronic now.
Right.
So,
That's how it's turned out because it went through me, so.
Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, I would just recommend that in your approval of the pool, that you require some restoration plantings at the rear of the property.
Can we rely on, say, the planting of some trees and natural revegetation? Or are you suggesting a few small bushes, or?
Trees and bushes.
Are you okay with that to sort of remedy the situation?
Yeah, yep.
It's
If you just-
actually the typical remedy,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
that's, yeah, if I could just get recommendations of what you think would work best, for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is done, believe me, you're not the first person this has happened to.
I mean, we had no idea,
Yeah, we know, that happens.
yeah.
Okay, so, let's go to, the commissioners to see if they have any others. They have pictures in front of them. You can see that it's pretty bare at the edge of the at the edge of the sport court going back. Let's go to Indra. Anything further on this one?
No, nothing further, but need some restoration. And I would say what should be done, they should go to our.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with some conditions, I guess, is that?
Correct.
Okay. Ed,
Just a couple of things. There's major concern for the walkthrough. We saw actually a lot of dumping of grass and whatnot, the back end of the property into the wetlands. And just prior to that sport court, there's a lot of crushed asphalt treated almost like a fill. That should be removed as well.
okay. Well, they're gonna have,
There's going to be some heavy machinery there for the pool,
Yes.
so they might be able to get up some of the asphalt, you think?
I didn't see it on the site, but
Yeah, there was crushed, I'm trying to find some pictures of it.
I don't know.
Sorry, continue.
Had the two people standing right next to it.
Yeah.
What did he say?
you have a photo with two people standing next to it.
Okay.
Oh, I guess my photo does sort of show. Well, there was a lot of, it was very bare here, and there was some crushed asphalt here and back here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was sharing. I'm here.
I see it.
John could see it over my shoulder.
Well, you're right beside her.
I'm sorry. I was saying that on the left-hand side, it's pretty bare, just from where they obviously did the work. And then there's, what Ed's talking about is right in front of the court and a bit right behind. There was a lot of crushed up asphalt and stuff that did seem to be dropped or dumped there.
Yeah, so we can condition that be removed. That's easy enough.
All right. All right, and do you have an idea how many trees you would?
Yeah, maybe 4 trees and 4 bushes.
Does that sound all right to you?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we have Jennifer. Do you have any further comment on this one?
No, nothing more to add.
Okay. Kent?
Nothing more to add?
I think it's all
I'm so
set.
sure.
I think we know what we're doing here. And the pool doesn't seem to be an issue at all, does it? No, okay. All right, so what we have is a negative conditional determination that imposes some rather routine conditions on the work for the installation of the pool. And Eileen will review it and just add the couple of things that we talked about, and you'll be on your way.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, well,
This
that
one
was-
I hadn't actually shared with Eric earlier, just because we were going to discuss it and we weren't sure how it was going to go, so
Okay.
that was, we weren't like deliberately snubbing you. This is for the project as described with it was just a sketch on a mortgage plot plan of where the pool is going to go. Applicant proposed to install a 14 by 18 foot in-ground pool in existing lawn behind the house and patio. This would be, yeah?
Is that 14 by 18? I heard 14 by 30.
Yes, 14 by 30.
Oh, another mistake.
Yeah. Thank you, Indra. Let's fix that right now. 14 by 30 foot in-ground pool. The work would be within 200-foot riverfront area.
Tributary to the Ipswich River. Work would occur within existing lawn. The proposed work was about 100.
Do we have a copy for her that she could have? For Erica?
Copy there?
I don't have any copies.
She can have my copy because I've already read it, yeah.
Okay.
So she could follow along at least.
Additional findings, I'm going to make this bigger actually. At some time in the past year, judging by aerial photos, a significant area within the inner riverfront area was cleared, including tree removals, and a new sport court was installed. The work was done without permission from the Conservation Commission. Nevertheless, the Commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability for the pool and for work as outlined above. Prior to beginning any construction on site, sediment barriers shall be installed along the right and left properties because this is a pretty flat area, so we don't want sediment going onto our neighbours. All construction, demolition materials and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soils within 50 feet of the wetlands. No tracking sediments onto public roadways, and if that happens, clean it off. No filling or significant grading of the property under this decision. All existing drainage patterns shall be maintained. No chlorinated pool water shall be discharged to impervious surfaces that drain to the street, nor within 20 feet of wetlands. We don't have anything about trees yet, do we? Debris, sediment, lawn clippings, and landscape materials should not be dumped in the vegetated wetlands. I guess here we'll put in 4 native trees and 4 native bushes. And I'll just finish that off tomorrow because I don't want to hold everybody up. 4 native shrubs or bushes shall be planted somewhere on site. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should not be used within the wetlands or within 100 feet of wetlands, and this just gives us the authority to check on the conditions as that's going along, as your project is happening.
And then a condition about the removal of the
Oh, right.
asphalt or whatever it is and the yard waste.
You can continue. I'm just typing it in so I don't forget what it was.
All right, so we're all set on that? All right, and Eileen, you should add in that the 4 trees and 4 bushes are to be located behind the sports court as well.
Okay.
So it's clear that that's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and that should do it. All right, is there any other comments from the commission on this? The conditions? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project at 8 Paula Street?
So moved.
Second? All right, Indra, how do you vote, please?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes,
Okay, Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0, the installation of the above-ground pool is approved for 8 Paula Street.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. We're on item 5D. Notice is hereby given. The Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting during which time we have another request for determination of applicability filed by Rian Murray. The Commission will take information related to the proposed chemical treatment of Japanese knotweed within locally regulated riverfront area in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. This project is located at 9 Edgemont Ave, and the Commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application's being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And again, this particular application is available by writing to conservation@burlington.org. Is there anyone here for 9 Edgemont Ave? You're online.
I've been going in and out, so hopefully the Wi-Fi stays firm.
Nice to see you. Okay, so I guess you've introduced yourself. Would you like to say anything about what you're doing?
Sure. So I have this invasive species we've identified as Japanese knotweed that's been just encroaching on my backyard, and it just, no matter what I've been doing, well, in terms of like ripping it up, digging it out, it just keeps coming. And so I have hired a gentleman by the name of Brian Colleran, who is pretty much the closest expert I could find around these parts to help me navigate it. And so the goal is to kind of treat it and control it and stop it from, taking over my backyard and getting closer to my house.
Okay, Mr. Holleran, did you want to say anything about what you're doing?
Sure. So, I'm Brian Colleran. The Ecological Land Management is my company. The specialty, scientific, managerial, etc., is Japanese knotweed. And the goal is to do an herbicide injection into the hollow stalk of the knotweed in the fall, and to weaken the plant to the greatest extent possible is what the point of management will be for the summer. I did see the drafted DOA, and the one point I think is worth discussing about what's in there is there is new research out over the winter that is telling me that I should be spraying the knotweed in the spring to get the best kill percentages for next year. I won't know how well this process goes until next spring. My usual technique prior to reading this article is a manual removal. Basically, it's like getting a haircut regularly, weaken the plant. And so the conversation would be, how do you, as a body, feel about spraying versus not spraying? Because if I spray and then inject, obviously that's fewer visits. But if I spray, well, obviously then I'm spraying, and all of the, the usual concerns that go along with that.
So the issue, sir, you're talking about is whether we approve just injection or injection plus spraying if it's needed. Is that what you're saying?
No, the spraying would be what I would do in, late spring, early summer, now-ish. And then it would be an injection in the fall.
Oh, I see. First spray and then inject.
Yeah. And obviously happy to answer questions. I know I just skipped a lot of science and details, but.
And is your whole business based on treating Japanese knotweed?
3/4, maybe. Yeah.
Really? Amazing. Okay. That was amazing to me. Thank you.
Me too, actually.
All right. Eileen or John, do you have comments about, this is a little bit of an unusual application.
This is one of the first I think we've received. So I'm just here right now sharing some photographs. These are actually Ryan's own photographs. They weren't the ones I took yesterday. It's just showing how pervasive this is, how quickly it's spread. It has spread and is spreading into his yard. And he's kind of fighting a losing battle, just trying to strip it by hand. So it is coming from wetlands behind, and it really is a recalcitrant kind of plant. I'm a bit concerned about the idea of spraying, so I'd like to bring John in on that one.
Well, the application says no spraying. That's what it says in the request for determination of applicability. The commission generally does not. They don't like the use of herbicides within buffer zone or wetlands anyway. But this seemed like a fairly unique application, not doing any spraying. So I guess we'd need more details on how you're going to spray, the type of sprayer that you're going to use, how you're going to protect non-targeted vegetation.
Right. So broadly speaking, I'm just gonna aim well. I know that's a ridiculous answer, but that's just what it is, right? Like, I'm not trying to get anything else. And the knotweed, as you can see sort of in the fence line picture here, behind the property, there's nothing that grows amongst the knotweed. And so, in a manner of speaking, even if I were to like dump my backpack full of spray out on the knotweed patch, the only thing there is the knotweed. There's an exception where spring ephemerals do sort of beat the knotweed to the punch, but by the time they're gone, the knotweed takes over. And so it's a green wasteland anyway. When I talk to people about sort of the downside of glyphosate, there's a really, really strong line of evidence that glyphosate is terrible for amphibians, right? But there's also an equally strong line of evidence that if you let the knotweed go, there's nowhere for the amphibians anyway. So you either lose the amphibians accidentally by killing them, or you lose them because they have no habitat. So like the worst case scenario herbicide situation for me is basically still better. Let me see if I'm saying that right. Is no worse than and probably better than. No, I'm inverting my negatives. Anyway, if you let the knotweed grow, you end up with nothing there. If you kill the knotweed, even if you do it badly, nature grows back. Obviously, if you get into planting questions, it is an allelopathic plant, and planting in natives is difficult. Every example I've found of a successful replanting project, I've found an equally well-documented one where the same species fail to establish. So that's a separate problem.
But obviously the knotweed patch or colony has an edge. And when you're spraying the edge of that, it's not all knotweed. Then you're, you know,
Exactly, right. So, the thing to do then, right, would just be try not to spray the edge, just spray the center, maybe the center 3/4 of the patch. Or, but right, this is the conversation about spraying, wetlands, and concoms. I can do the manual management, which is what I have done generally. It's just obviously Ryan has to pay me more because I have to go 4, 5, 6 times before doing the injection, as opposed to doing the one visit where I spray. So that's all. According to the literature, the success rates are roughly equivalent.
and what's the time frame that you envision for this eradication?
We don't use that word. Eradication with knotweed is a zombie effect here. So I'm going to get good percentages, but we can't say that eradication is in the cards. It may not happen, and I just want to put that out there. The timeline, generally speaking, is this first season of management. We would work through to weaken the plant. We do an injection in the fall, say September. And then next year, if I did a good job, I might get a 90% kill rate. If I do a terrible job, or if we just happen to have a genetically interesting patch, the kill rate might be more like 50, 60, 70%. I won't know until this time next year.
So Brian, have you been seeing up to 90% with your previous method?
Yes, I was in Swampscott.
That seems pretty successful.
This week. Yeah, I was thrilled. And that Swampscott job, a bunch of stuff went wrong. So I was really happy with that. But anyway.
So a couple of thoughts. One, the determination of applicability is only good for 3 years. So if this is going to take more than 3 years, you would need a second permit.
And it should be a 2 to 3 year job, depending on the percentages.
All right. The commission might consider allowing spraying this year, and with a condition that the applicant needs to come back in the spring and report how the spraying plus the injection went after he evaluates, what comes up next spring.
Yeah,
So
and
prior to
hopefully, not
approving it
speaking out of
second.
turn, everybody should come. Like, we can have a field visit. The whole commission come out.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Why don't we go to the commission and see if they want more information on anything or if they have any comments. Indra?
Yes, I have a question is how do you inject? Do you go to every plant and inject? How?
Yeah, give or take, actually. Each cane is hollow and segmented. And so you go sort of knee high off the ground to the first or second one where there's enough space in the cane. And then basically have a very expensive water gun with a hypodermic needle at the end of it. And I just fill up the chamber with an unadulterated herbicide mixture. So, for instance, the spray percentage that's recommended in the literature is an 8% concentration. The injection percentage is more like 50%. And so what you end up with actually on a large patch, not this patch, this is sort of medium sized. A large patch, you can end up overdosing an acre in terms of active ingredient. Because when you read the label, you're only supposed to apply X number of pounds of any particular herbicide to the landscape, right? And when you inject, you actually are doing it at a high enough volume that you actually have to keep that in mind. So, round and.
Anything more?
Yes. So what I hear that injection is much more effective than spraying.
Injection does something different than spraying, and it is the basis upon which everything else is built. And obviously interrupt me if this turns into too much of a science diatribe, but I'm not trying to kill the plant you're seeing. I'm trying to kill the part of the plant you can't see. And the way that in the autumn, when the trees lose their color, they're pulling the resources down to the roots, and other plants do that as well, right? So I'm trying to hitch a ride on the physiology of the plant and bring the herbicide down into as much of the rhizome system as possible. And then that kill it next year.
All
But
right, so in the interest of time, I'd like to ask your indulgence if you let me cut you off so we can go to the next, keep going for the questions. Indra, any more questions?
How far is the wetland from this edge of this?
we didn't measure. It's on the outer edges. It's like 80, 90, 95, maybe over 100 in some cases.
Thank you.
All right, Ed,
Nothing to add.
Jennifer?
I was curious if you could provide us with the, and perhaps you already have, but with the information about the herbicide, because it sounds like you said the concentrations is just different between the spray versus the injection. So I was curious to see, I don't know, like an MSDS or an SDS for the herbicide, and then if there's any literature on injection versus spray for how much it leaches out or spreads after that.
Yeah. So I might be able to answer that here because it is glyphosate. It is Roundup.
Okay.
It's, you know, sort of the tamest and most common of the plant herbicides. The half-life, the mix I use is actually the water-safe version, even if I'm not in a wetland. And the difference is that there's no surfactants, there's no additives, there's nothing extra. And so the half-life of glyphosate is super short, it binds to soil really fast. And so when it does leach out of the plant, it doesn't go very far. It breaks down really quickly. A lot of the problems with that particular herbicide have more to do with the additives in the mixture than the herbicide itself.
Yep. And then have you considered, I know that I've seen this on cranberry bogs, believe it or not, but for it's a weed called Dada. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a yellow, almost like creeping vine that suffocates cranberry vines. And so the application of Roundup can be very effective. However, it like kills the cranberry plants at the same time, so it can be devastating. So they'll sometimes use like it almost looks like a hockey stick, where they apply it
I've got one of
using
those.
that. So although I'm not a huge fan of sprays, I'm wondering if that type of application could be utilized rather than the spray.
Yeah, sure.
And
Like,
if, yeah.
yeah. I've got the tool. And because I don't have enough experience with this, because I haven't tried it yet, because research is new, using a paint roller type applicator would accomplish the same thing without spraying, and I'm still getting on the leaves at the same rate. Yeah, we can do that.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, I think we're in Kent now. Nothing. I have one question. Since you said there's not a lot of other plants in the middle of the Japanese knotweed, it's kind of like a dense patch or area. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So therefore, the line, the edge of it might be well-defined, would you say?
Sure.
So here's the thing. Is there
Straight
any
line, it's
reason
obviously
why-
scraggly.
Is there any reason why you can't spray closer to the vegetation, that vegetation at the edge by putting down a light top and essentially protecting the non-Japanese knotweed vegetation? And that way it would allow you to do a more complete job. Could that be done? A light plastic top, one of those very light painter's things?
Yeah. I think that would work.
That way you would likely get more complete coverage, less visits, and better removal percentage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that logically, that's sound. Yeah, sure, we can do that.
All right, John, how does that sound? Okay, so if there's nothing further, is there anyone in the audience that would like to talk about a comment on this project for Japanese knotweed removal? Okay, then we have a negative conditional determination for these folks to review, and then after the review, if you have questions, we'll talk about it, but then we'll vote on it.
And we might have to change it based on what we were just discussing. So, no plan was submitted in this case. It was just photographs of knotweed because it's not really your typical sort of project. It wasn't necessary to have a plan. The applicant proposed to control invasive Japanese knotweed by injecting with a 50% glyphosate mix over 2 growing seasons, likely with mechanical techniques. Treatment in the 3rd season may warrant a change in the herbicide composition. The work would be around the property boundary, and the work would be within the outer 200-foot riverfront area to a tributary of Sandy Brook, about 150 feet from the stream. Commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability for the project only as we described this evening. What we had said is no spraying of herbicide is permitted under this decision. Are we now changing that? Are we saying no spraying of herbicide is permitted except where surrounding areas are protected by tarp?
I think that's.
Yeah, well, we'll clarify it. So it's just one time this spring, this season, this growing season, and then it'll be reevaluated after commission site walk next spring with the applicant and his representative.
And you want, and to Larry's point, when it's applied in the first year, you have like a tarp or something?
Right, with the tarp.
And blah, 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 next year. Sorry, I'll finish that in, like, later. Next year, we're gonna, like, visit. Any change to the herbicide formula, dosage, or method of application shall be approved by the commission in advance. I think that can still stay, because that's, if anything's changing, we'll discuss it. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways, no filling or significant grading of the property under this decision. Don't dump anything into the vegetated wetlands. And generally, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides are not supposed to be used within 100 feet of wetlands unless otherwise approved by the commission. So this is an exception. And then members of the commission or their designated representatives may come and check on what's going on. So how did you say that, John? Just I'll write it while you. Okay.
Are we all set to move along?
Yeah.
All right. Sir, did you have any further comments on it? There's generally a small number of conditions. All right. How about for the commission? Anyone on the commission have further comments on what's being discussed?
I just want at the beginning where the project description, and it says Knotweed by injecting with a 50% glyphosate mix. So should we add there also spraying or limited spraying something?
Right.
Oh, in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Injected with a.
We can change that.
Yeah. We'll add. We'll tweak that first sentence.
Okay.
Thank you, Indra.
Thank you, Indra.
And spray.
All right.
That's right.
Then could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the Knotweed project located at 9 Edgemont Ave? Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0-0. The Knotweed project for 9 Edgemont Ave is approved. We'll see you in 1 year.
Thank you very much, I really appreciate it.
All right, folks, thank you. Okay, next, we're on item 5E. Notice is hereby given. The commission will hold a public meeting during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Colleen Bridget Sakari and Daniel Sakari. The commission will take information related to the proposed installation of an above-ground pool within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. This project is located at 94 Drake Road in Burlington and will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. You can get a copy of the application by writing to conservation@burlington.org. All right, is there someone here for 94 Drake Road?
Peter DiBernardo from Gibraltar Pools.
All right. Okay, well, would you like to say whatever you would like?
Sure, we were here last time and it was continued to tonight to have the wetland flag, which we did. We hired a wetland scientist, Mary Trudeau, She flagged the wetland and issued a report, which I uploaded to the portal.
Okay. All right, John or Eileen, this is a continuation.
Right. It was continued because when the commission went out to do the site visit for the previous meeting, they discovered two things. One, there was vegetation within the wetland that had been cut recently, trees and bushes that had been cleared out. And secondly, it appeared that the wetland was pretty close to the proposed pool. So subsequently, Mary Trudeau actually flagged the wetlands. Eileen and I went out today and taped from the flags, and they also staked the pool location as well. So we've measured the distance from the pool location to the bordering vegetated wetlands, and at its closest point on the left-hand side of the pool, left rear, it's 27 feet to the wetlands. It's
Okay,
maybe
you agree,
it's about
you
30
agree
on the
with that
right-hand side.
information?
We measured it.
Okay,
Yeah, we measured it, and the flags looked fine.
okay.
So, and the pool is right up against the retaining wall at the rear of the property, so the pool cannot be pushed forward. So the problem is, well, there's two problems. One, it's within your 40-foot no-build, significantly within it. And two, the wetlands have been disturbed by cutting of vegetation.
Okay, why don't we just hear from the commission first, and then we'll see how it ends up. All right, Indra?
Yes, initially I had concern here because it is included in a no disturb zone and there is no green zone. So, I had concern.
I'm not sure I heard everything you said there.
I said I had concern because it is within no green, 40 feet no green zone.
Right, right. Let me ask you, is it all lawn area where they want to put the pool?
Yes. It's lawn, but it's not flat.
All right.
There's a significant slope there, so they would need to do some grading, either cutting into the, I think that's what you said, you would be cutting
That's what we
in
do.
by the retaining wall
Yes.
to level it off, but it is lawn.
Are you splitting the difference and raising it up too, and cutting at the same time?
We do, it kind of splits the difference, and because so it's not too dramatic, an excavation next to a retaining wall.
Okay,
It's an above-ground pool, so it's a 4-foot wall and
I see,
wall of the pool.
I see. So, the issue would be controlling the erosion because of the slope, is what you're saying?
Correct.
I see. Okay. All right, let's go to the next person. Let's go to Ed.
I just can't see, based on what we saw last time and some of the corrections that were made, it's just so close to that zone of wetlands. I'm just not sure exactly how we should deal with that.
Well, what we've typically done, Ed, is clearly there's been some small trees cut, a bunch of them, and maybe some vegetation cut. Was the vegetation cut in the wetlands?
I don't think so. Do you?
So this would be,
I think some of it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
so,
Maybe we did flag some over to
so
that.
Ed, what I think these folks are asking for is a waiver of the 40-foot no-build zone. Is that correct, John?
Correct. I mean, they didn't officially ask for it, but that's what they
But that's
would need.
essentially what they're asking for as part of the application.
Right.
So, it would seem to me that in exchange for that, it would be certainly reasonable to ask for mitigation, Ed.
Okay.
In other words, they did quite extensive cutting, so in exchange for granting the waiver, it seems to me they need to remediate what's been done, maybe? That's what I was thinking anyway. I don't know, what you're thinking, but,
Well, that's exactly the kind of thoughts I was having, there's,
yeah,
the only out on this is, like I said, it's a waiver.
right, right. All right, let's go to Jennifer.
Have there been any alternative analysis done of like a different place to put the pool on the property or a different type of pool that wouldn't require
as much disturbance.
I'll let this gentleman comment, but I don't think there's a lot of alternative to put it.
It's a long and narrow yard. I think we would still need the variance. This is the type of pool that will do have the least amount of impact and trauma to the yard because it's a semi-in-ground pool, meaning that it's an above-ground pool that can go into a slope. A full-bore in-ground pool would require very heavy equipment. We're in and out in a day. The tractor is in there for about an hour. The rest of it's all done by hand, so it's accomplished with the least amount of trauma to the area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. How about Kent?
I agree. It's Andrew's point, that's within the 40, that there's some type of remediation instead of planting.
Right, there was quite a few trees cut, I think.
Yep.
I think I counted 6 or 7 of them. Small, like this kind of diameter type thing. In the wetlands and adjacent to the wetlands. All right.
One positive is, like I put it above ground in my place, or sorry, wetlands above grounds can be much easier to take it down versus like a in ground, so that's one positive.
Right. Is there, I don't have anything more. Is there anyone in the audience for this one at 94 Drake Road?
Looks like the answer's no. So, John or Eileen, do we want to review do we have a decision ready for them on this? And do we want to put some specifics in on what we're expecting to be done before we move ahead?
So you're inclined to grant the waiver? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would, if we come up with a suitable plan to remediate for all the cutting in the wetlands and adjacent to the wetlands to restore that area, I'm proposing to the commission that they might want to vote in favor of the waiver.
So I would suggest if you do that, you require one-to-one replanting for all the trees that were cut. And they'll need to put in a fence anyway, I believe, for the pool?
No, the fence meets the barrier codes. Ours comes with the railing around it.
I would suggest you require some sort of demarcation at the rear of the property to prevent future cutting of the wetlands at some distance of your choosing from the edge of the wetlands. 20 feet might be extreme. That would be 7 feet off the pool, but so that.
What kind of demarcation are you talking about?
A fence, or probably a fence, to protect the wetlands from future cutting.
May I offer a monument, maybe a granite post with a plaque on top saying prohibiting cutting beyond that post?
You could do that, but more than one, maybe.
A couple? How does that sound?
Sure. Be willing to do that, and maybe some wild native blueberry for remediation.
Probably trees.
Well, yeah, probably trees and shrubs. I mean, there was a lot of vegetation cut, and we didn't inventory how much was, and what they were.
Rather than continuous and make them come back.
No.
Can we, do you think, John, we could move ahead having the pool installation subject to getting a plan in place?
Okay.
Because they probably want to do it after the pool is up, rather than in case.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting too late in the growing season really now to be planting trees and shrubs. The weather's really dry.
But to get a plan first, and then allow the installation. Does that sound reasonable to you?
So
Yes,
you
thank
could condition that you require them to have their wetland scientist propose a restoration plan. That seem reasonable?
All right, Endra, how does that sound?
Yes.
All right, good. I'm asking you because you voiced a concern there. Well, the first one to voice a concern. Okay. All right. So you want to review the decision, please?
I'll read it out just because it's easier. It's in front of me.
Okay.
So this is, again, we didn't also share this with these with the applicant, just because we knew we were going to be discussing this one tonight. We weren't sure which way it was going to go.
Eileen, let me interrupt you for a second. Is the owner of the property here tonight?
No.
No. So they may be watching on television. Okay,
Maybe so.
maybe, okay.
So they had provided a plot plan from a previous filing with this sketch pool added by the applicant. The applicant proposed to construct a 16 by 24 foot above-ground pool directly behind the 3-foot retaining wall approved under a previous determination. The dimensions of the top of the pool are 20 feet by 32 feet. The work at the rear of the house would be within the 100-foot buff. You know what, where you marked off, was it the 16 or the 20? It was where the bottom was,
Flags?
yeah.
I believe he did the 20.
Oh, okay.
My project manager went and did the mark off of the pool.
Okay. The work at the rear of the house would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Work occurred within existing lawn. Wetlands were flagged after the last meeting with the Commission, and the pool would be 27 feet from the BVW at its closest point. The owner has recently cut trees and other vegetation within the wetlands and buffer zone without a permit from the Conservation Commission. Nonetheless, Commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability, and we'll have to find out where in here we'll put the waiver and the condition about the trees. So this decision is for work as outlined only in the project description. Sediment barriers shall be installed across the property between the house and the wetland and forward to the frontage along both property lines. All construction, demolition materials and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soil or other materials within 50 feet of wetlands. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways. No filling or grading on the property under this decision, other than approved by this decision. No chlorinated pool water shall be discharged to impervious surfaces that drain to the street nor within 20 feet of wetlands. Debris, lawn clippings shall not be dumped in the wetlands, and pesticides, herbicides and fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of wetlands. So somewhere in here we need to put in about the demarcation, two demarcation, what did you call them, monument posts?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll finish that, and then
So
also.
so like 10 feet off the wetlands?
Yes, I think that would be reasonable, given the circumstances.
Thank you.
I'll finish that sentence, and then it was about the, how did you put it? You said the wetland scientists shall.
Shall submit a restoration plan, and the planting shall be done in the fall of 2022. So the restoration plan for approval by conservation staff, and the planting shall be done in the fall of 2022.
So, let me ask you, do you know that the owners will agree to what's being done here?
Yes, I know they will. I've talked about remediation to them, that it might be a condition of the approval.
Okay. So, John, this is a negative conditional determination. It does not have as much teeth as if it was a formal permit, enforcement ability. Do we want to, just for the record, issue them, is it useful, or you don't think it's necessary to issue them a federal enforcement letter saying you have agreed to, here's the situation, and you have agreed to this? That way, if it's not done, you could follow up. Is that necessary, you think?
I don't think so. We can issue an enforcement order if they don't submit the restoration plan.
Okay.
Or if they do submit it and then they don't.
I'm
do
not
the
saying they
plantings.
won't, it's just.
No, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
I have another question. Whereabouts in here do we mention the waiver?
In the findings. Did you actually take a vote on the
Not
no-build
yet.
waiver? That you put in the findings.
Okay.
Okay. All right, could I have a motion to issue a waiver of the 40-foot
Yeah.
no-build regulation that we have in our bylaws in exchange for mitigation of 1-for-1 tree replacement and shrub replacement in the affected area where there's been some removal?
And the restoration of the 10-foot buffer zone by demarcating the 10-foot.
And the restoration of the 10-foot buffer zone with a demarcation at the 10-foot from the bordering vegetative wetland line. Okay. Okay, second.
Second, Kent.
All right. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed on the waiver?
Yes.
Jennifer?
No.
No. Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, that's 410 is the vote. The waiver is approved. Okay, so, Commission have any further comment on the conditions? And I assume you don't, you've heard it, you're all set.
No, I'm all set.
Okay, could I have a motion, issue a negative conditional determination for the pool project and restoration at 94 Drake Road? Second?
Second, Indra.
All right. Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jennifer?
No.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Again, a vote of 410. The pool project and restoration of the wetlands and buffer zone is approved for 94 Drake Road.
Thank you. Issued on Tuesday.
Okay, good, very good, thank you.
Issued on Tuesday.
Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will take information related to a notice of intent for a public hearing filed by Patricia and Michael McLaughlin for the construction of a residential addition at 13 Pathwoods Ave. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The commission will review information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a wetlands permit, Burlington Wetlands Permit, for the proposed project. The application may be viewed at the link in the notice on the front page of the Conservation Commission's webpage. All right, good evening.
Hi.
Good to see you. Please do your own introductions and state where you live for the record, so they have it for the transcription, and then you get to talk.
Okay, I'm Patricia McLaughlin, live at 13 Pathwood Avenue, and my husband's sitting over there, Mike, and this is our contractor, Chris Blanc from Archstone. What we're doing is we're building a small addition onto the back of the house. It's actually being built in the footprint of an existing shed. We're just, the only thing that will be different is we're building a deck slightly into the yard a little bit than it was before.
Okay, thank you for the summary. All right, John or Aileen, which one of you is commenting on this one?
I don't remember, is this me?
This is you, but I'm having trouble with the WebEx and sharing.
This project is within the buffer zone to wetlands. The wetlands are flagged and shown on the plan. So the area where the addition's going is currently lawn. Let's see, I'm forgetting now. I think it's a little closer to the wetlands than the existing. Is that correct? It is.
Very
It's-
slightly.
Yeah, so it looks like the proposed deck is 31 feet from the wetlands. The existing is, 32 is the existing, maybe? So actually, it's not closer. It's about the same. So it's at the rear of the dwelling. The existing dwelling has gutters and downspouts for stormwater, for rooftop runoff. It looks like with an addition in the back, the runoff from the roof probably wouldn't go onto pavement, it would just go onto existing lawn. I don't know if you're planning on putting gutters on the addition.
Yeah, the roof line changes on the back of the house, so it will give, it's gonna push that runoff in the same direction it goes now, so it comes down to the side of the house where the walkway to the driveway is.
So on the right-hand side of the house?
From the street, the right-hand side of the house, correct, yep. Yep.
Is the runoff going on pavement or lawn?
It's going on pavement on a walkway right now, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That one gutter. It's one gutter. There's only one corner of the back of the house that's gonna be modified, and it's really a small modification, because what they have now is they have a lean-to shed that comes off the back of the house right now, which is attached to the house. And we're gonna remove that and replace that with an addition that extends their kitchen and adds a bathroom, because they have one bathroom, but it stays pretty much within the same footprint of the existing structure right now. And the roof line will just come out a little bit further in the back, but the gutter will land in the same place that it does now, but, you know, open to
Where it
suggestions.
lands now is
on-
in, not on pavement, actually.
Right, that's what I was gonna
Oh,
It's in
okay,
the-
okay.
It's in a front garden
The side of
bed.
the house where our driveway is, or actually it's not driveway anymore, there's mostly lawn back there, there's a small walkway along the side of the house. The gutter on that side of the house runs from the back of the house to the front, there's a slight decline, it goes down at a drain into a garden area in the front, which is lawn, in front of the house.
I see, okay.
Well, sort of, not lawn, but vegetation area.
Okay, great, that's helpful, thank you.
I don't know if that's gonna continue, but Chris may be able to speak to that, but that's the way it is now, it's not.
Yeah, I honestly haven't put much focus into the gutter design, and that's open to, you know, conversation.
Yeah, we try to infiltrate runoff rather than have it, you know, go down the street, go down the driveway and into the street, and
Yeah, sure,
which
yeah.
just ends up in somebody else's yard,
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
into the drain, comes out a pipe across the street.
Yeah.
So additionally, as part of the application, they were proposing doing some buffer zone restoration in an area which subsequently turns out that they found out is not their property. After the survey, they discovered that that area is not theirs. So I guess we probably need the plan
Right there,
revised
yeah.
or something, yeah. So apparently the owner of that property wants the fence moved. So that area will end up being restored just by virtue of it growing back naturally once the
Yeah,
fence
it won't be
fence
mowed
is moved.
anymore, be on the other side of the
Right.
new fence.
So I believe this requires a waiver, because it looks like, I can't tell, is it actually the same distance from the corner of the existing house to the wetlands as the addition is to the wetlands?
The house portion is, it's just the deck that is gonna move further back.
Right, but I mean, the existing house looks like it's 32.3 feet, is that correct?
Yeah, let me say, you know, let me rephrase. The sidewalk that's part of that area, that's, the edge of that sidewalk that runs along the back, you were there yesterday, right?
Right.
So that sidewalk that goes to the stairs to the deck, that's gonna be the new edge. So where the edge of the new foundation is the edge of that pavement. So we're not going into the grass, we're staying
Okay,
everywhere that already has pavement or shed.
okay. So it probably does not even require a waiver then.
Okay, all right,
But the deck is moving.
all right, so let's
Up to
go
the
to the
deck.
commission. Indra, anything else on this one?
Because, so the distance will remain same, right? Existing and the new.
Yeah, the same, it's gonna be all on pavement, where there's pavement now.
Yeah, okay. No,
Ed,
No, just a shame that these people have to go through this, but no additional comment.
Jennifer,
No additional comments.
Kent,
Nothing to add.
I have nothing further either. So is there anyone?
Audience, this is a hearing for 13 Pathwoods Ave, or anyone online? All right, so what I've heard is no issues. That's what I think I've heard. So what that means is that I see, and the staff will correct me, is there's no reason why we can't issue the permit at the next meeting, and you'll have your permit, and that will be it.
As long as we have a DEP file number.
Well, yeah, we need the DEP file number, right. And then you'll be all set?
Okay, cool. What was that last part?
Oh, I was just saying, we can't issue anything without a DEP file number.
Okay.
It's just illegal. We
Yeah.
don't have that yet.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Who did this filing?
Mary?
Mary, okay.
Amsterdam, yeah.
So she knows, so we should get a file number then.
Okay, all right. Yep.
Right, so I didn't hear anything that you folks have to provide for the next meeting. I think it's very straightforward.
Okay, so we, 30 days and then the next meeting.
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2
Oh,
weeks.
2 weeks, okay,
Okay.
all right. I haven't started the building permit filing yet, I just wanted to see how tonight went, but.
So it's June 9th.
You can probably start
Start
that.
now, okay.
It'll go through me anyway, and then I'll
Okay.
comment that it's under process, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
and silt fence or wattles or?
That's
That
premature.
to be determined.
Yeah,
Okay.
the commission will vote on all that stuff at the next meeting.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Okay, June 9th, and we'll wrap it up for you.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
Take care.
have a good night.
Good night.
We have continued.
All right, we need a vote to continue. Could I have a motion, continue the hearing at 13 Pathwoods Ave?
So moved. Indra?
Second?
Kent?
All right, Indra?
Yes.
Ed?
I had to leave the meeting and go
Jennifer?
back in again because I was.
Yes.
And Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0. The hearing for 13 Pathwoods Ave is continued to the meeting of June 9th.
Perfect, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Bye-bye, take care. Have a good night. Okay, we're on item number 7. We have notices hereby given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing, during which time that we will have information, we'll take information related to a notice of intent. This is a hearing filed by S.J. Peacock Builders Incorporated for the demolition of a dwelling and construction of a new dwelling at 4 Mildred Road. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. It's being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The commission will review information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington's wetland permit for the proposed project. The application may be viewed by going to the conservation webpage and clicking on the link for the project at 4 Mildred Road. All right, so is there someone here speaking for the project?
Steve Dresser, I'm not sure, am I in?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dresser, how are you?
Good, can you hear me?
We can. So,
Okay, thank you.
You probably want to state your role in the project, please?
Sure. Stephen Dresser from Dresser Williams and Way, civil engineer representing Scott Peacock on the matter before you. Scott is also on the hearing if you have questions for him. The project is located at 4 Mildred Road. The applicant intends to demolish the existing house and construct a new home on the property. The wetlands have been flagged in the rear yard. The wetlands have creeped up into the lawn or vice versa. The lawn has creeped into the wetlands. So it's kind of well into the, the area of use at this point, the wetlands. Okay. But the current house is 26 feet from the wetland and the current deck is 16 feet. As per your regulations, the proposed house and deck will be no closer to the wetlands than the current house. We did submit a plan showing the existing and the proposed conditions. The applicant is proposing to construct a post and rail fence in the backyard to prevent prevent encroachment upon the wetlands, whereas especially it's, lawn and that will come back to life a little bit as wetland vegetation, I would expect. The house is designed with roof gutters, so the roof runoff will go into an infiltration system in the backyard, and the driveway is graded to a stone trench, which overflows also into that infiltration system. We have provided stormwater calculations. Calcs show that the infiltration system will hold up to a 10-year storm, and then there'll be surcharge at the gutters. We put a Y at the gutters, so on larger storms, there'll be surcharge at the gutters. There is a reduction in runoff for all storms, and also there is a reduction in impervious area from pre-development condition to post-development condition. I know it was listed without a file number. We do have file number 1020674, and glad to answer any questions, as will Scott. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dresser. Eileen or John, we'll get to you in a second. John, do you have comments?
Sure, I'll take this one. So there's a lot of good things about this proposal. There'll be wetland restoration because the previous owners mowed into the wetlands and turned it into lawn in that area. will be restored. There'll be a fence put across the back and the wetland will be restored there. There's less impervious area, so there's less pavement and roof than on the existing. So those are the good things. I have questions. I couldn't find your test pit log. Did you submit the test pit log in?
It wasn't part of the initial one, but Eileen emailed me the next day and I emailed a log back to her.
Okay, so,
Here it is.
so what's the distance in the infiltrator? Is the infiltrator significantly above the water table?
Yeah, it's a 2-foot offset.
Okay. Okay, and the basement floor elevation, what's that relative to the water table?
It's actually like 2.7 feet above the water table in the back.
This.
Mostly because of just the dimensions of the house. And we want the garage floor to be higher than even though we're grading it to the trench, but the garage floor is higher than the road. And that kind of brings up the rest of the house with it based on the architecture.
Yeah. Okay, so we agree with the delineation. As you could see, the wetland flags were actual little flags stuck on little pins in the lawn because the wetland is significantly, a significant amount of the lawn area was flagged as wetlands. So I don't have any issues.
All right, okay, we'll go around to the commission, then we'll go to people in the audience or online. All right, first we'll go with Indra.
Yes, I liked it that there will be wetland restoration and also less impervious area. That's good. I like that.
Less.
Okay. Did you have a question, Indra, other than that?
No, no.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right, Ed?
No, it's pretty much a 1-for-1 change. No.
All right, Jennifer?
Nothing to add, thank you.
How about Kent?
They said it's a 1-for-1, and John pointed out all the positives.
1-for-1 what?
Just that it's basically replacing one house for.
Right.
Yeah, John pointed out all the positives.
Did they actually say there was less impervious surface in the new case? How much less? What are we talking? We talking anything significant, Mr. Dresser?
It's a 8.5% reduction.
8.5%, okay.
Which is the equivalent of 215 square feet.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure what less meant. Okay, and do we wish to put specifications on restoration at all?
I think it will come back without having to go into the wetlands and dig holes and put plants in. So I think just protecting it will bring back the vegetation in time naturally.
Do we need a restoration plan? Or is it not necessary given how low it is?
I think I'd like to go look at it again to determine, what type of wetlands vegetation abuts it that isn't mowed and determine, try to figure out how quickly that could actually spread.
No, what I'm getting at is if you think there's something needed from them for the next meeting, like to get that to them with a little bit of time. That's all I'm suggesting.
So who is your wetland scientist on this?
Norse, Maureen Harold.
And she's here, correct? But not, is she here for this?
She's not here for this meeting, but I think I saw her in the Zoom contact. But just let me know, and I'm sure she'll turn it over quickly if you suggest some plantings.
Well, it's up to you guys. If you want to require a few plantings in there, that can't hurt. Yeah.
All right, and we can condition that.
Right.
Okay. But we don't need a specific plan from them, you're saying?
No.
Okay, so we don't, that's what I was getting at, Mr. Dresser. We don't need a specific plan.
Understood. Yep, I didn't get that. I get it now.
All right. Okay, so where are we? Okay, it went to me. Audience, let's go to the audience. Yes, come on up. Again, even though you spoke earlier, please state your name for the record.
Dan Rasky, 3 Mildred Road, 50-year resident. What is the story of the 4-inch PVC seems to run along the length of both sides? Is that actually in the ground, or is that more of a surface drain-off method?
There's a stone trench on the side, and it has a perforated pipe within it, so the water that goes into that trench will drain off the driveway. It'll be graded that way. And on larger storms, that perforated pipe will lead to the infiltration system in the back. So it's just another way to direct flow. It's subsurface, you won't see it. It's within the trench.
It's actually moving from street level downhill into the wetlands, correct?
Correct, yep. Nothing comes back to the road.
Explain to me about your system in the back for drainage. I do see an inspection port. Explain that to me.
So it's a infiltration system, so it's subsurface. It consists of some plastic chambers, and it's a closed system. So what we do is we put an inspection port on top of it. It's basically just a 4-inch PVC that drills into the top of the plastic chamber, and you put a cap on it. And we submit what's called an operation and maintenance plan, which says the owner in there has to inspect it periodically. So they'll have, the cover will be about 3 inches down. They'll have to go out, dig it, open it up, shine a light down there, and making sure that the water is draining properly from it.
So at the front of the house, you have a 25-foot by 5-inch clearance to the road.
Correct.
As I come to my left, I see you're now cheating out on that 25 with some stairs. What is above that 171 feet? What is that all about? Because that's kind of in the 25.5.
That's the front of the garage. And that's within the 25-foot setback. Stairs are not required to meet zoning setbacks, so there's no cheating involved.
That is, I assume, part of the building then, that 171 feet?
Yeah, GF stands for garage floor.
Oh, I got
That's
you.
that's the elevation of the garage floor.
So obviously that doesn't come under the setback of 25.5 feet, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Am I muted?
No, I'm asking the board here what their thought is on it, and I'm getting no reply. So I think that's pretty much all I have.
I'm asking, what are you asking? I wasn't clear you were asking a question.
That the setback of the garage floor is not 25.5 feet to the street. Is that acceptable? Is that what we do?
Well, this isn't the zoning board, but it is 25 point. I don't know where you're getting that from. The 25.5, there's like a covered porch near those stairs, so that 25.5 goes to that porch, which is flush with the front of the garage. So the front of the garage will in fact meet zoning.
So your question is whether it meets zoning. Is that your question?
I don't understand. 25.5 is 25.5. When you add in the floor to the garage, it's not. It's a shorter distance.
Hey, I honestly, I apologize, sir. I don't really know what you're getting at. But the front of the garage will be 25.5 feet off the edge of the right of way.
Hey, hang on, Mr. Dresser. Mr. Keeley is 25 going over. It's Mr. Rasky to see if that question is.
All right. It explained to me, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Had the wrong point here I was looking at, so I do understand the Oros with their water in the basement. If they've done it for 25 years, I've done it for 55. So I understand them wanting to move, and wish them luck in their next house. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dresser?
Yeah.
What is the elevation of the seasonally high groundwater?
161.
161. That's the estimated seasonally high groundwater elevation. And the basement floor is at 171?
Oh, the garage.
Oh, 163.75?
163.7, yep.
Okay, 163.7. So you're not anticipating the need for like a French drain system because water is gonna come in the basement?
Correct. Yeah, we're bringing that up.
All
It'll
right.
be
so
higher
you-
than, it'll be higher than it is now.
Okay, so you're not anticipating having to deal with sump pump discharge?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, is there anyone who has additional comment? Okay, so before we continue this, where are we with respect to, do we need anything further from the applicant?
No,
We said we were going to go back, sorry.
Yeah, we'll
Look
go.
at it and determine, so that we have draft conditions about replanting the buffer zone.
Okay.
We don't need anything specific.
You don't need anything further from
No.
Mr. Dresser
No.
or the applicant? Okay. All right, so, Mr. Dresser, you have anything further?
I'm good.
Okay, then could I have a motion to continue the hearing for 4 Mildred Road to our June 9th meeting of the commission?
So moved.
Second?
Kent?
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The hearing for 4 Mildred Road is continued to the meeting of June 9th. All right, thank you, folks. Okay. Item 8 on our agenda is a public hearing. Notice is hereby given, the commission will hold a public hearing, during which time we'll have a notice of intent hearing filed by Stacy Colella for the construction of a residential addition. The property is located at 82 Macon Road. The proposed work would be within a locally regulated riverfront area in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a wetlands permit for the project. The application materials are available by clicking on the link on the Conservation Commission webpage for 82 Macon Road. Okay, so, someone here for this project?
Yes, I'm here. This is Maureen Harold from West Environmental Services.
Okay, nice to see you. Would you like to make some comments first? Get us started?
Yes, good evening. So we filed a notice of intent with the commission to raise the deck and patio to construct a single-family addition, 2 decks. We're providing rooftop infiltration, grading and associated utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone of an intermittent stream bank. This stream is jurisdictional under the Burlington Wetland Bylaw regulations and is classified as a perennial stream. So it has an associated 200-foot riverfront area under the local bylaw. We meet the 20-foot no disturbance zone. We meet the 40-foot no build zone. The proposed deck is 42 feet from the closest bank flag on the plan. And we're providing erosion controls. And I can open it up to the commission with any questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you. John or Eileen, do you have comments for 82 Macon Road?
I don't have much to add from Maureen because, as usual, she was succinct and clear. They are adding a fairly substantial proposed addition, a proposed deck, and it is going to bring the building quite a bit closer to the stream. As she said, it's a regulatory stream under the bylaw. I have one quick question for Maureen, which is just that there's another channel, there was a head wall, which is shown on your plan that I'm sharing here. Did you also mark that bank? We weren't sure if there was a bank flag there. Maybe it just got moved.
Beyond the A10 flag, Eileen?
Oh, the A10 flag wasn't actually visible, I believe. It was, okay, it is there, it's done. I see it on the plan now.
Okay.
I actually don't have any more comments. That other than that, at the moment, it's a very, it's a very open lot. I think they could do with some trees.
Yes. All right, okay, so, all right, let's see if there's any further comment, Indra?
One question, Maureen, is how far is the building from the riverfront area?
Need a scale, just one moment. I'm getting 48 feet at the closest point when I scale it off the plan.
So it is within 100-foot inner riparian zone.
Yes, you can see the 100-foot riverfront area and the 100-foot wetland buffer is shown on the plan. So it cuts through the existing house.
I see, okay. So how far is what is the difference between the existing and the new? Is it in a better location, the new one, or it is closer to the riverfront?
So the proposed addition and deck will be, we're proposing it closer to the stream than the existing house.
Okay. All right, for the time being, I'm okay now.
Okay. All right, Ed?
Well, we did notice one area in the back, if you went directly on this plan where the word prop deck is, goes straight back. There's major dumpings and grass dumpings that are being thrown in there. That's quite a significant amount. First, we thought it was the property from behind, and it's not. It's really like a pathway leading to it. I'm suspecting that it's probably landscapers, based on the size of this lawn and whatnot, because we didn't see tractors or anything like that around the house. And the fact that we got grass that's going right up to the riverbed, somehow that got missed along the way, and the mowings are going right up close to the river. Those are the only two concerns that I had.
Okay, Kent?
Yeah.
Jennifer?
Sorry, nothing to add.
And you're all set, Kent?
Yeah.
In a situation like this where we see clear-cut mowing all the way up to the edge of the stream, we have typically sought some type of modest at best restoration along the edge there. And although they may think it looks nice, it's not in the interest of having a viable riverfront, as I'm sure you know, Maureen, to have it completely clear cut and no trees or anything along the edge. Do you think that you could discuss it with your client and negotiate something for a restoration there?
I think they would be open to restoration, whether it's shrubs or trees. Certainly, we could provide that.
I mean, in the past, in a similar circumstance, we have people propose a very modest, minimal, but compared to having no riverfront vegetation at all, we have, X numbers of, in the tens of feet, the low tens of feet, restoration. I mean, I think we would need something consistent with something appropriate that could be offered here. It just seems like letting it go completely like that doesn't seem appropriate.
I don't think that's a problem. We can do some plantings along the stream. That
Yeah,
shouldn't be an issue.
something to let it revegetate just X number of feet out from the stream with some plantings would be very helpful. And if we could get their agreement on them, we don't have to do it any other way to get accomplished. So could you come back with something on that?
Sure, I can come back with something, and if John and Eileen, if they don't mind, I might run it past them and kind of get their okay with it prior to the next meeting, but absolutely.
My name is Stacy Clow. I'm here at this meeting. I'm in the Zoom. We're okay with planting. If it doesn't have to be continued, we're okay with planting whatever you think needs to be done.
Okay, so what was your name, please?
Stacy Colella. I'm the owner of 82 Macon Road.
Welcome to our meeting.
Oh, hello. Yeah, thanks.
I didn't realize you were here.
Yep, I'm online.
Oh, okay, all right, that's great, thank you for saying something. Okay, so is John or Eileen, do you think it is possible that we can get a proposed plan and they'll discuss it with you, administratively, and then if it looks, everything is agreeable, we could close at the next meeting?
Yeah, actually, there's a couple issues I wanted to raise. Ed had brought up the dumping of the yard waste. And it appeared to me, Maureen, that where the dumping was, it's probably within the drainage easement area to the north and east of the head wall. If you could flag that area so we can determine whether or not that waste is actually in the wetland.
Okay.
It's going to need to be removed anyway, probably, but I think some of it may actually be, if it's not in wetlands, it's very close. And additionally, so the addition is offset to the left as you're looking from the street. And I couldn't see like an alternatives analysis. Generally, we get an alternatives analysis for work in the riverfront area. It seems like the addition is significantly closer to the bank than the existing. So if you could just give us a rationale for why the addition is offset to the left. I mean, there may be a perfectly valid architectural reason, but if we could just have some sort of explanation of that.
I can do that.
Thanks. So if we get all that information, we can certainly, I think the applicant was looking for not a continuation tonight, but I mean, we never open and close a hearing in one night.
Right, so what, the three things that I have on the list to come in, let me know if anybody hears anything else, is our staff has asked for flagging of the head wall to determine whether waste is.
It was, she said it was done. It must have just fallen off.
I mean, the wetlands near the head wall, not the,
Oh, no,
not the
except
bank wall.
Flagging, what am I saying?
I thought you said to flag the head wall, but she said it had been done. It's on the plan. I may have missed.
Ask for flagging?
Right, near the head wall, the wetlands, not the bank flags, but the wetlands behind
The
the.
wetlands.
Behind the
head wall.
Right.
Right, that's what I said.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, well, okay, maybe I didn't say well. Okay, next is a write-up on, to comply with needing an alternatives, paragraph or two on why the proposed addition is offset to the left. And it might be because of, you're saying, architectural reasons for the house, maybe. And the other is a proposed restoration plan to have some kind of riverfront restored where there is none on that side.
Right.
And so I just heard you correctly. You suggested that we might be able to move this along and issue the permit at the next meeting if we got all that stuff fairly quickly.
Correct.
Okay, so Maureen, did you have anything else?
No, I think that covers it. So I'd like to request a continuance to the next meeting, if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. Is there anyone online or in the audience for the project at 82 Macon Road? Was that person for the project?
You look very happy.
Well, I didn't stay long enough for me to ask. Okay, all right.
Have you asked if anybody in the audience had any?
I just did.
Oh, after you left?
After he left.
Right after he left.
No.
Oh, well.
Well,
The hearing is open anyway.
Yeah, the hearings can
And
open.
he can write a note if he wants to. All right, so is there any further comment? If nothing, could I have a motion to issue a continuance for the project at 82 Macon Road to the June 9th, 2022 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission? Second?
Ken?
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer? And the chair votes yes. The 82 Macon Road hearing is continued to the June 9th meeting of the commission. All right, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. We're on item number 9. It's a continued, can we skip down to, okay, it's a continued public hearing. This was for a stormwater erosion and sedimentation control bylaw application. It's for 4 Maureen Drive. This was Quinn Builders Company for the demolition of a dwelling and construct 2 new dwellings. Thanks for waiting.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Busy night.
It is a very busy night. All right, so you probably want to introduce yourself for the record again.
Yep. Tim Quinn, owner and applicant of 4 Maureen Drive.
Sure.
And obviously continued from last meeting.
Right.
Proposing demolish existing single family, and we did a few modifications to the plan.
Okay, why don't you describe whatever you would like, and then,
You guys have copies of this? Everybody's got a copy? I've got paper copies.
you know what, I'm
Anybody
not
need them?
absolutely sure I sent them the newest, because I couldn't see what was different.
I've got 5 copies if you guys,
Well,
if you need them.
let's give Larry a copy, please.
You want a copy?
that's this 8.5 by 11 thing I printed out?
He in fact sent another one this morning, which may have had a few extra changes to it. I don't think I sent that out, because there was a lot of stuff to do.
I think you forgot to add the roof drains on the left-hand lot.
Sorry, what?
I think this plan would just add the roof drains on the left-hand lot, showing where the roof drains are.
Yes,
You forgot to add it
I'm
on the
gonna
right
share
one.
it on the screen too, so that everybody can see what you're.
So the biggest changes we made are, we added some stone trenches along the left side of the driveway for the runoff. And then on the lot to the right, we basically decided not to put any of the runoff into the existing drainage, because I know that was a concern. So we added 4 more dry wells to the lot for the right, for roof runoff.
So you added 4 more dry wells?
Yeah, for lot 7.
Okay.
And then, so lot 8 will continue to go into the 2 existing dry wells that are on site. So we're reducing another, basically, another decent percentage of runoff from going into that system. And I think those are the biggest changes, was the dry wells and the stone trenches.
Right,
And
yeah, we
then-
were mostly concerned about the water, handling the water off the roof.
Yeah. So reducing an additional 2,820 square feet less going into the existing system from Lot 7, and that will go into its own system. Basically took the 5,640 from the 2 houses, the runoff, and cut it in half. You know, because we're only putting 1 house into that existing system now.
Okay. All right, John or Aileen, you have additional comments?
So it was kind of me that was dealing with this one. So he was gonna, we were talking about how he was gonna just give us a better idea of how that older system worked. But I think the fact that he's just now halved what's going in there, I'm sure it'll be more than adequate.
Right.
He's providing the 4 dry wells, one pretty much at each corner of the house on the right. And he and I just sort of had an exchange today, and he can slope, I think we decided you could slope the driveway on the right-hand house as well, and that could probably go to grass if it doesn't have to go to stone trench, but he's providing a stone trench in the lot on the left. I think he's probably provided everything you asked for in terms of the stormwater at least. And I think this is permittable as it is.
Okay, all right, Indra, anything more on this one?
No.
Okay, Ed? Ed?
Ed is muted.
Is Ed still there? I'll go back to you, Ed. Jennifer?
Nothing more to add, thank you.
Kent?
Nothing more to add.
Ed, can you hear us now?
Larry, I don't know if you guys can see all the screens here. It appeared that he stepped away from his computer for a moment, though.
Okay, we'll move past them then.
Mr. Quinn, two questions. Yes. For the house on the left, it seems like the water is gonna come all the way down the driveway. I don't know if it's gonna get into the trench or not, but it looks like it might end up at the bottom of the trench on the left-hand side near the house. Is there like a pipe underneath there going from the trench into the dry well there, the catch basin?
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm just, I mean, I just think you're gonna be flooded with water at that location.
It's a pretty long stone trench, so we can
Yeah.
always put in an additional.
I was thinking a lot of it's gonna end up down the bottom.
So I could put in a backup pipe to go into that system, just in case of a major rainstorm.
You think it's a good idea?
Yeah, not a bad idea, you know?
Okay, that's one. And on the other side, you're saying it will roll off to the grass. It should not be an issue.
On the house on the right?
On the right.
He's going to pitch it.
The garage floor is 174, that grade to the right is 172, so we got plenty of room to pitch that.
All right,
off to
I'm
the
all, I'm
lawn.
all set, thank you.
Can you
Okay.
just explain what you meant, Larry, about are you asking for, what are you asking for on the left-hand side?
What I'm asking,
Trench.
or what I'm suggesting, is that a lot of the water is gonna end up in the stone trench at the very bottom of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hill. And so he may want, like, position an overflow pipe so it goes into the side of the catch basin. If that can be done.
Can be done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep,
it just seems like a lot of the water's just gonna end up down there.
yep, we can do that.
I'm just wondering whether I have to add something to the decision.
Are you all set?
Yep.
Okay.
Sketch
All right, is there anyone,
Yeah.
is there anyone in the audience for this one? 4 Maureen Drive. Okay, that looks no, so, are we in a position, are we closing tonight?
I think so.
Okay. We have a draft, and does he have a copy of the draft?
I
Yeah,
said
you
that
emailed it to me
earlier,
today.
yes.
And
Yep.
I've
Oh,
read,
okay,
I've
so
read
let's-
through it. Everything looks good to
Let's
me.
review it and then move this along.
Okay, I put quite a lot in the project description just because I wanted to capture all of the changes, because it's going from one house to 2 houses and it's a little bit complicated. So he is intending to keep the existing pool, but to demo the house and construct 2 new dwellings with driveways and utilities. At the moment, there's about 19,000 square feet of impervious, and after construction, he'll be down to under 14,000, so that's an improvement. He is proposing to tie the rooftop of Lot 4B into the recharge system built to serve the Mooring Drive extension in 91, and that goes into a 6-foot deep, approximately leaching pit, the overflow from which goes to a wetland behind 5 Mooring Drive, and the runoff from the upper portion of the driveway on Lot B will be directed to a stone trench. And Tim will probably just maybe sketch a line on the plan, just to say an overflow pipe might go to the catch basin. And then rooftop runoff from the new house on 4A. The right lot will go to 4 dry wells, each 4 feet deep and 4 feet in diameter, and the driveway on Lot A will be pitched to the right, allowing runoff to flow onto grass. This is the filing history, and then we're just explaining the conditions referenced below are best management practices to protect against increased and contaminated stormwater in Burlington. Then we list the plans, the first one of which is the one we were just sharing there now, which was last revised yesterday and provided this morning. Any changes to the above referenced plans should be submitted to the Conservation Department for review. Tim has gone through these, so he's aware of what they look like, and they're generally pretty standard. He will notify the Commission approximately a week prior to the commencement of construction, so that we can have a pre-construction meeting. At that time, we'll review the permit, we'll inspect erosion controls, and discuss whether anything else has to happen. Pollution prevention, they're pretty standard, just about bringing dumpsters on site and having no discharge on site during work, and if anything happens, clean it up or let us know. Erosion control will be per his erosion control plan with 12-inch filter socks is what he had proposed, I think, along the northern and western edges of the property, including the frontage on Maureen Drive. He will also be putting in 2 stone aprons at the entrances to both work sites, and no other work shall begin until those are in place. We have the right to require additional erosion or sedimentation control. The rest of these are just a standard about keeping stockpile materials covered, and keep the paved surfaces swept and clean. Protect the silt sacks in the closest ones on Maureen Drive and keep those regularly cleaned, and you can use temporary settling basins if needed. This again explains stormwater management just for absolute clarity, exactly what we already described. And Tim will provide photographic evidence of the installation of the various catch basins and things just as they're going in, so that we have that. And we're proposing a surety in the amount of $2,500 for this permit. And then just the as-built plans shall include spot grades on the driveways to show that the driveway is pitched to the infiltration trench or to grass.
Okay, Mr. Quinn, any questions at this point?
No, I think everything's pretty cut and dry.
Obviously, you can call the office if you do have questions. So, okay. All right. Any questions by the commission on the permit, the draft permit? Comments from anyone? Okay. And the pipe, in the notation for the pipe is going to be added?
I think we'll just have him maybe sketch it on the plan, and we'll just keep that ourselves. We're not going to make him redo the whole plan. We'll make a notation.
That's fine. All right. All right. Could I have a motion then to issue an erosion and sedimentation control permit under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, Section 6? It's for 4 Maureen Drive. Second? All right, let's start with Jennifer. How do you vote? Yes. Ed? Yes. Indra?
Abstain.
Abstain. Kent?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, so it's 4-0-1. The project to remove 1 house and install 2 new houses at 4 Maureen Drive is approved.
Should have probably done it first, but close the hearing.
Okay.
Could I have a motion now to close the hearing for 4 Maureen Drive? Second.
Kent?
All right, Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0-0. The hearing is closed. Thank you. Now, could I have a motion to require the posting of $2,500 performance surety under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, Section 6, for 4 Maureen Drive project?
So moved. Kent?
Second? Second. Indra?
Abstain.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer? Yes. Chair votes yes. I think that's a vote of 4-0-1. Approval for posting $2,500, request for $2,500 performance surety. Okay, I think we're all done.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you soon.
Good luck in your project.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a continued public hearing, 24 Terry Ave, This is to construct a 3-space parking lot by Northern Business Machines, and I assume someone's here for that one?
Yes, hi, Amy Geary, I'm on Zoom.
Hello again.
Hello.
All right, and would you like to make any comments before we move this along?
No, I don't think there's really anything additional. I did send a letter to the planning board, and the Conservation Commission after last hearing, just clarifying our timeline on the project and that we want to start immediately and start, putting the sidewalk in and the trees and the light. And we're just waiting on this approval. So, but other than that, nothing additional.
All right, John, do you have some comments on this one?
I don't think the Conservation Commission had
issues with this project. So I know the planning director did email Amy this afternoon and copied me. And it seems like the planning board wants this project to go back to them for approval.
But that doesn't necessarily affect, probably won't affect this project.
I doubt it. I mean, if it's going back to them, I don't think it's just to actually change the physical layout of this parking lot. So, I mean, it's up to the applicant to decide. We could close this and issue it. If the planning board makes any changes to it, then you'd have to amend it. So, I don't know if you want to wait until you go to the planning board. I don't know if you're going to go to the planning board next week.
Unless it was such a minor change, right, John? That you would just
Right.
call it a minor
Yeah.
change.
So, I mean, it's really your call. We could issue the decision tonight, or we could hold off until you resolve the planning board issues. It's really totally up to you.
So I think I prefer it going forward. So I didn't get the impression that I had to go back to the planning board. I mean, I got that email, but it was more, they were requesting a letter based on, to describe the need. So I think I'd like to close it tonight with you guys, if possible. And then I'll touch base with Kristen separately.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, that sounds fine.
All right.
All right, okay.
Sure. Sure, this is Ed. Do we have any issues with the dumping there and the sign?
So we will continue, we will condition all that stuff in the decision.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Ed. Anyone else on the commission have any questions or comments?
All right, is there anyone in the audience for this one, for 24 Terry Ave?
A new sign to be put up, but I didn't say remove the.
Hearing none. John and Eileen, would one of you want to just go through the draft and?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Did you send this to me?
Did I send it to Amy? Amy, did I send this to you?
You did.
Okay, yes, I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it just won't open at the moment for some reason. Oh, no, there, we got it. I'll do the reading just because I'm the one in front of the computer. So the project involves construction of approximately 1,768 square foot paved parking area in existing lawn to the north of the building. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and within the locally regulated riverfront area to an unnamed stream. Then we went through the filing history and the plan references. We said the closest work will be about, under wetland values and areas subject to protection, we're saying the closest work will be about 60 feet from the BBW and about 180 feet from the regulatory stream. Work will occur in the zone 2 of a public water supply, which is a critical area, and work occurring within or close to these resource areas can generate adverse impacts. The Commission generally agrees with the location of these resource areas, but didn't formally review them, and thus makes no findings. Net riverfront area alteration proposed for this project is only the 1,768 square feet of the parking lot itself. The previously approved addition at this location altered about 923. So the entire 200,000 square foot lot at Terry Avenue is within the riverfront area. So the proposed alteration of this project and the cumulative alterations of the addition in the parking lot are under the maximum permissible, which would be at 5,000 square feet. Then we went through the stormwater management standards, which you can all read yourselves. There is bordering land subject to flooding on the property, but no work will occur in that area. That's under other findings. And then I think we are proposing a $2,000 cash performance guarantee in this case. Did it just switch between the two? Yes, it did. Good. This is the order, and the first several conditions are always standard. And if Amy has any questions about those, she can question us, but it's basically the same standards as conditions as she received before for the addition. Contact us a few days before the work happens to show that the order has been filed at the registry of deed, the performance bond has been paid, the DEP sign should be in place at that stage, and the erosion controls should also be in place. We are suggesting, that's a good question. There should be no dewater. Did we mention erosion controls? It says in accordance with the reference plans, so I might need to just change that to say where they're going to be. It'll be between the work and the wetland, however. No dewatering permitted on this site. Materials should be stockpiled at more than 50 feet away from the BVW or 100 feet of the bank. Keep the streets clean and put catch basins within, silt sacks in the catch basins within 100 feet of the work. No grading permitted other than what you need to do just for the parking lot without additional permission. Pollution control conditions are all standard. Report any discharges. Revised stormwater operation and maintenance plan shall be submitted. There was previously an operation and maintenance plan for your addition, so we're just proposing that you update that with whatever is required to just keep your stone trench clean and clear. A no dumping sign shall be replaced to the north of the parking spaces to prevent dumping in the wetland. And I could add in something here about, just another sentence about clearing some of the dumping that's in there right now. I didn't do that. Sorry about that, Ed.
And actually, replacement of some boulders, just have like PJs put another boulder or two to prevent people from, getting in there with their carts or whatever.
Clear the dumping. Okay, no invasive plant species shall be planted anywhere within Burlington, and you shouldn't be using pesticides, herbicides, or fungicide. Don't dump anything into the BVW or the stream bank that shouldn't be in there. And then this is just the instructions about how you go about getting your certificate of compliance.
Okay. So Amy, do you agree to put the boulders and remove the asphalt and some of the dumping stuff and put up the no dumping sign?
Yes, yep.
I don't think so. I think it's
I
mostly
thought that's what you were agreeing to. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like it messy either. Unfortunately, it's not us.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one aspect that the neighbors would appreciate, not seeing it become a dumping area.
Right, us too.
Except the neighbors who are using it as a dumping area, but.
Except for those neighbors, yes. Okay.
Or our neighbors.
Are there any comments on the proposed draft? It does seem like a long draft for a 3-space parking lot.
they're pretty standard.
I know it's standard stuff. Okay, could I have a motion to close the hearing for 24 Terry Ave? Second?
Kent?
All right, so Indra, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 401, the hearing is closed. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14 for 24 Terry Ave?
So moved, Kent?
Second? Second? Indra, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, by a vote of 401, the findings are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt the order of conditions for DEP file number 122-672 under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act for 24 Terry Ave? Motion?
No.
Second? Indra?
Abstain.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair is yes again, 401. The order of conditions is approved for the permit. Could I have a motion to require the posting of performance surety in the amount of $2,000 under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for the project at 24 Terry Ave?
So moved, Kent.
Second? All right, Indra?
Abstain.
Ed? Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 401. The requirement to post $2,000 performance surety is approved. Okay, you're all set, Amy. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, have a good night.
All right, you too. Have a good one. Bye. Okay, so next we have on the agenda, skip down to number 12, proposed revisions, the status report of the proposed revisions to our stormwater bylaw.
I've now had two bylaw review subcommittee meetings with obviously a subcommittee of the bylaw committee, and it actually went pretty well. We got through the whole thing in 2 meetings so far, but we are going to meet again just because I made a couple of tweaks based on our discussions last night. I've sent it to, I think I sent it to everybody today, but it was pretty late in the afternoon. So I would like everybody to look through it again to make sure it all makes sense, and that anything that you see in red or that looks like it's been changed is also pretty much reflects what we agreed on. There are places where we just changed the wording slightly here and there where rather than saying or is for construction of a single family house, oh sorry, I thought it was shared. just want to show you an example that it actually just says construction of a new residential property, so as to be more all encompassing. And anywhere where it's highlighted, just maybe take extra care. Oh, that land alteration, don't worry about that. That was I had to go back and check where this definition came from. But just when you guys have time, maybe take a look through to make sure everything reads correctly and seems to reflect what we all generally agreed on in previous meetings. Let me just see if there was something that I wanted to run by you.
So do all the commissioners have copies of this, or can they just get it from the webpage where?
I think I emailed it to everybody this afternoon at about maybe 4-ish.
Here, I got it.
Yes, I got it.
One of the slight changes we made, just based on some chat with the other subcommittee members, were just clarifying about written notification of, to abutters in both types of plans, in the larger one and the smaller one. The fact that we actually want some sort of proof of notification, and
So while you're on that topic,
yes.
you want to talk about the abutter notification? So we're.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're proposing that on the abbreviated notice, you just notify direct abutters. Direct abutters, so not even somebody across the street, somebody whose land abuts yours. And to actually maybe change on the standard permit, we have, initially, we had a requirement for a 300-foot butter notification, so that's the current one, which is 3 times the distance of the butter notification of the notice of intent. So if somebody's building a single-family house and it's a wetland permit, they file a notice of intent, they have to notify abutters within 100 feet. If they're building the same house and there's no wetlands, and they're only filing a stormwater permit, they have to notify within 300 feet, which seems kind of a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
So we'd like to actually reduce the abutter notification so it's consistent with the Wetlands Protection Act filings.
And for the smaller one, we're just, I don't know if that's too small to read, but we're asking for proof of written notification to properties that directly abut the property, only the ones that actually touch the property itself.
Okay.
I think that's what we agreed.
Would it be too much work to just send out a bulleted list of the changes since the last major iteration in this? If you think it's too much work, then I'll forego the request, but.
I've just been so deep in this that I'm not sure that I can identify exactly which bits were
I'm just
done in the
trying to
last few
I'm
weeks.
trying to understand the
But I
last 2
can-
weeks, all the changes.
I can bullet maybe a high level, do a high level bullet list of all the changes,
Not
yes.
sentences, just bullets.
Yes, of all the changes, but I'm not sure whether I can definitely say which ones were within the last
I mean,
2 or
things have been
4
changing
weeks.
so fast, I'm just trying to follow what you're doing.
Yep.
So if you think you can do it, then just say you can do it. If you think it's too much to try to figure out.
Well, as I said, I can do a high level, a bulleted list of generally to encompass the gist of all the changes. I'm not sure about whether I can do it for just the last few.
That's fine. I think whatever you think is the recent group of iterations back and forth, whatever you want, just put in it, so I can,
Now, do they have to vote on something like changing the 300 to 100?
Well, we'll have to vote to support the bylaw going forward when we're all done with it, yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
just change that,
Yeah.
if you guys are generally in
yeah,
agreement.
yeah, I mean, no, we don't have to approve every change you make for a working draft.
Yeah, not as we go along, but at the very end. I mean,
Right.
We don't want to change it in the draft and then when it's all ready for you guys to vote on, say, no, we want it to be 300 feet.
Yeah.
But
I wanna
get the
make sure you
sense that
guys are-
It's kind of common sense that,
To just keep it consistent.
yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things that I seem to remember. One is, we had a discussion about trees, and we agreed that, based actually on some input from the public, that preserving trees to the extent practicable, that it was hard to quantify what extent practicable meant. And for the commission's benefit, I don't know if they're in on that memo, but we have decided to withdraw that term, replace trees to the extent practicable, because you're getting into a place where you need to be more specific, and that's the, sort of the province of a tree bylaw, if we did anything. Is that the way you see it? So the way it reads with regarding trees, no tree shall be removed within the rear zoning setback without a waiver from the commission. The commission reserves the right to require replacement of trees removed from that area. Is that kind of what you're thinking? That's what I think where we are now. So that's the first one. And it only applies to permitted projects. We're not talking about things that are not in the permit system. We're talking about things that are either in the abbreviated permit or standard permit process. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's another thing we have to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, and that was actually something Susan was concerned about, but anything, I think it's,
well-
anything that's in here is only something that we're considering for a
Well,
permit.
I think when everyone looks at it to see if there's anything, if it's something that doesn't make sense, we'll pick that up. Right?
Sorry, say that again? I just missed.
We're gonna all review it, theoretically, we're all gonna do a once read-through to make sure it all makes sense.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. I think that's all that was on my mind regarding this. Does anyone on the commission have comments? Theoretically, you have received the latest copy of the bylaw, and what I think our staff is asking for everybody to read through it, if even small language correction or anything that doesn't make sense, send the comments in, right?
Correct.
Anything that was missed by the Bylaw Review Committee, or if we don't seem to have addressed what we all agreed on.
Any
Yes.
comments from anyone?
I'm good here, looking at it as I go.
All right, you don't have to review it before the end of the meeting, Ed.
But the sooner the better, the sooner the better.
So we don't get a PowerPoint of all the changes over the last?
Do we have a PowerPoint
I'm
about the changes?
kidding. I'm making a joke.
Thank you, Kent.
That's not
Wait a minute, who said he could be a full member?
Larry.
All right. I have nothing to follow up on that one. Okay, so is there anyone in the audience, again, for this? This is our we're in the middle of making changes to our stormwater management bylaw. Used to be called Erosion and Sedimentation Control Bylaw. And if everyone could look at it or has comments now, we can talk about it, but please send comments to staff, and we'll get the final working draft if there are any changes. Okay? There's no one in the audience for it, so could I have a motion to continue the proposed, public hearing for the proposed revisions to the Stormwater Management Bylaw, Article 14, Section 6, to June 9th?
So moved, Indra.
Second? Second? Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed? Yes. Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0, the public hearing for the proposed revisions to the Stormwater Management Bylaw continued to June 9th. All right, next is planning board comments. Do we have anything? No. Okay, do you need to tell the planning board that we moved ahead with 24 Terry Ave?
We will.
Okay, the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And subcommittee and staff reports? Anything?
No?
Other business? When does the bylaw have to be submitted?
Oh, the exact date? It's June something.
Are we okay with June 9th, continue, do we have to close it on June 9th?
No, and we don't even, you don't even have to have the exact language of the bylaw. I mean, it doesn't go to print then.
But you'll file on time, you know the date.
Oh, yeah, but the fact that we've now gotten in with the bylaw review committee, you know, it makes us feel more comfortable, because they're gonna get busy with other people now.
Okay.
So this has been good.
All right, upcoming meetings is June 9th, and there's one on June 23rd.
I won't be able to attend.
June 9th, you're out?
Yeah, June 19th.
Okay, all right.
Just a question on the property that was on Bedford Street. Remember the one with all the remediation? Is there like an update on that, or remember the one that had the
Oh,
rain garden?
I know
and
the
all?
one you mean. I was just in touch with their landscaper twice this week, just by email, because I asked him, it looks like you haven't started work yet, you haven't moved the hay bales, and he said it was due to start on Monday of this week, so I checked in with him this week, and he said it's still about to start, so it's, I mean, I'm pretty aggravated with them.
Is this 127 Bedford?
Yeah, because if they don't get, their plantings in now, it'll really be too late.
Well, the problem is he also has to do excavation in there. He has to increase the size of the wetland. So it's probably better to do that when it's not super wet. He has to actually expand it, so
Yeah, but then the plantings, though,
the plantings could get stressed. They'll have to water them.
What's the time frame? If,
Depends.
like, how long is the project supposed to take?
I don't have that information.
Just curious.
Once he gets to do it, it probably won't take super long.
Just
All
curious.
right. Any other comment from anyone? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved, Indra.
Second? Indra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ed? Yes. Kent?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And the chair agrees. 5-0-0, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.